The following story is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Honey, wake up. Did you hear that?
What?
Did you hear that sound?
I think I heard something.
What was it?
What time is it?
1 minute after midnight.
I'm not sure, but it could be the sound of our car's dealer warranty expiring.
What was that?
I don't know, alignment going, suspension giving out, brakes that need to be looked at, steering, muffler, I'm not sure.
I'm scared. What do we do?
I don't know. Take it to somewhere that does that stuff.
And that would be?
I don't know.
Why now?
Car gods, Murphy's Law.
Car gods.
Laura, before the mystery of steel, man made a pledge with the transportation gods of time, and...
Dan.
I'm sorry. And so it begins. Meet Dan and Laura, typical couple. They love each other, pay their bills on time, and only fight over two things: money and the car. Their story is all too common. Like most people, when it comes to bad sounds coming from their car, Dan and Laura do what most of us do: hope and pray that it just goes away. Sounds never do, and most people only look into them when they get too big to be ignored. At that point, what might have been a quick fix has grown into a long and really expensive fix. This is Dan and Laura's story.
Hello there, and welcome to the Mufflerman. How can I help you?
Well, we woke up last night to some bad sounds that we think are coming from our car.
We're starting to hear all sorts of things that we never noticed before. Knocks, bangs.
Mumbles. I think our car is trying to tell us something.
We're just not sure where to turn next.
That's why we turned in here.
Don't worry, you're not alone.
Well, they're actually coming from under the car, and that's one place we never look.
Well, we're here to relieve any fears you have when it comes to the underside of your car. I'm Rob. I'll be your service technician. How can I help you?
It's our car, Rob. It started making mysterious sounds.
And now we're caught up in events that seem to be beyond our control.
Can you help us?
Please?
I'm sure it's not as bad as you think. Things never are. We can help you solve your mystery.
I like you already.
He really does. I can tell by the way he's hugging you.
Like any good investigation, the Muffler Man starts with the facts. Just the facts. How much for an inspection of the underside of our car? That's where the sound seems to be coming from. And you might think I'm crazy, but I swear I think it's starting to talk to me. And I don't like the language it's using.
I know just what you're saying. And don't worry about cost. An inspection is free.
Free?
Free.
How free?
Totally free.
As in, no money?
Correct. At the Mufflerman, we do inspections on brakes, suspension, steering, and exhaust, all for free.
How free?
We've established that already, Dan.
Right, sorry.
Right then. Let's get your car up on the hoist here and take a look.
Whoa, would you look at all that?
Who knew there was all that stuff under the car?
It's not a big mystery if you know what to look for.
That's good, because I have no idea what to look for.
He really has no idea whatsoever.
Let's not put too fine a point on that, dear.
It's like anything, really. You'll learn. We're undercar specialists, so we have to know. Let's take a closer look.
Whoa, it's scary under there. Hold me, honey.
Dan.
Have you noticed anything different about your car?
Well, for starters, what if I told you that my car was going wibble, wibble, wibble when I was driving?
You've noticed that too? Good, I thought it was just me.
Good.
Good?
Well, it's a good start. Don't worry, it tells me something. And any way you can describe something is the way you feel it. Cars talk, people translate.
Could you translate wibble?
A wibble is telling you that your car might be out of alignment.
What about cheap, cheap?
Interesting sound.
Actually, Dan just made that sound. He's hoping the repair is cheap.
It's nothing that can't be fixed. The first thing we do is take your vehicle out for a test drive. If you find the steering wheel pulling to one side, or if you have to drive the vehicle with one hand on top of the steering wheel and the other on the bottom, there's a good chance it's alignment.
But what does it all mean?
Improper alignment affects tire wear, fuel economy, and vehicle performance. And it makes your car less fun to drive.
You're right. It's no fun to drive at all anymore.
A good way to test for an alignment problem is to be aware of whether your car tends to pull or wander to the left or right. Some other signs to watch for include a crooked steering wheel or premature and uneven tire wear. Replacing 4 tires is a lot more expensive than getting your wheels aligned once a year.
I think I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable. What was that?
Relax, that was just an air ratchet, one of the tools we use. At any rate, a trained technician will be able to easily tell you if your alignment is off. The best thing to do is find a qualified technician who can perform a 4-wheel alignment.
Why 4-wheel? If the front ones go, shouldn't the back ones just follow in the same track?
Not necessarily. Cars get banged around a lot. Your rear wheels set the direction of the car. The front wheels steer it. Having all 4 in alignment makes sure your car goes in the right direction at all times. It's also a good time to check wheel balance.
Wheel balance?
Well, have you ever noticed that your car vibrates or has a shake in the steering wheel?
I was ignoring that.
Me too.
Properly balanced wheels eliminate those shakes and vibrations.
And alignment makes sure all those balanced wheels go in the same direction?
That's right. Thing is, if a wheel isn't balanced properly, it's not making good contact with the road. It affects the control of your car. And it impacts on shocks, struts, steering, and suspension, which affects safety.
Well, not to understate it, but safety is kind of a key thing with us. What with 2 dogs and a kid, you know.
Hun, that's 2 kids and a dog.
Exactly. Okay, maybe I could be a little more relaxed.
Take a deep breath. Let it out, Dan.
Thank you, that's better.
You all right?
I'm good.
With bad alignment, you won't enjoy smooth, comfortable, and, most importantly, safe driving.
Wow, that's scary.
Actually, when it comes to the underside of our car, you might hear that once or twice more.
That's the only part of the car we focus on.
We never gave the underside of the car a second thought.
Or 3rd, 4th, 11th?
It's scary under there, kind of like our basement.
Dan's afraid of our basement.
It's true.
I see. Not to worry. Well, since we've got it up there, let's take a look at your suspension, okay?
Dan and Laura discovered there were things about their car that they just didn't know. Alignment affects tire wear, fuel mileage, and safety. Who knew it could have such an impact on all of the other components on the underside of their car?
Now just look here. See this?
I have no idea what those are.
Those are the springs, shocks, struts, bushings, control arms, tie rods, and the sway bar that connect your car's body to the wheels. They also control the steering.
I knew that.
No, you didn't.
Okay,
It looks so complicated.
I'll make it as simple as possible.
thanks.
Just think of the suspension of your car like the springs on a trampoline. If there weren't any springs, it would just be like jumping up and down on the ground. That gets to be rough on your legs, your back, your feet. You get the picture.
Yeah, one reason I quit Pilates.
I was thinking of taking Pilates. I really like the unitards.
That's not good. Not the unitard, I mean, the suspension. It cushions the ride for you, as well as controlling direction and handling. Worn or damaged suspension makes your car wander on the road. Pull to one side, makes steering hard, causes your tires to wear out faster, and might cause your car to bottom out or just handle poorly. Should I go on?
Yeah, I think I'm getting into this.
But we're glad you're getting into it instead, Rob.
That's what I'm here for. The thing is, none of those things are good for the long-term performance of your vehicle and can also be big safety concerns.
Safety again?
What's this? Is this what they call a shock?
It is. And shock is just short for shock absorber and does exactly what the name suggests. They absorb the impact between you and the road. Because the road is hard and the body of your car is rigid and solid, without something between them, you'd have a very bumpy ride. Like the last time you were on a toboggan. The only shock absorber you've got there is your butt.
Although that particular shock absorber is getting bigger every year.
True.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
Shocks also act as stabilizers on the springs. The springs connect the body to the wheels, and without shocks, Your car would just be bouncing up and down on the springs. If you're on the highway, your wheels could leave the road. No wheels on the road, no steering. That's a problem you do not want.
How do shocks work?
A shock is simply a tube with a liquid-filled piston inside that only lets the piston go up or down so far. Because it limits the amount your car goes up or down, it keeps your wheels on the road and keeps you in control. That's very basic, but it gives you an idea.
So if I come here and say something like, I think my shocks are shot, how could I be sure?
Well, if your car bounces a lot when you go over a bump, your shocks are worn. If it rocks back and forth or drifts or sways while you're driving, if the nose of your car dips when you brake, those could be signs.
Oh, I think we could cover a couple of those.
Well, if the shocks need replacing, we can advise you on the best type.
I'm guessing maybe new might begin to cover it.
Well, parts manufacturers have 3 or 4 years to study the parts that wear out. So they often make replacement parts that are better than factory parts. When you replace shocks and struts, you're getting things that will last considerably longer than the originals.
Shocks and struts. What's a strut?
Something I used to be able to do.
Truth be told, honey, I married you in spite of your strut.
Anyway, struts are on the front end of almost all front-wheel drive vehicles. They're sort of like a glorified shock absorber. The struts put a bunch of suspension parts into one assembly, including the spring, shock absorber, and strut bearing. It's designed to control the bouncing action of the spring and help the wheels stay in contact with the road.
So worn struts affect steering, handling, ride, and...
Wait. I'll take a guess. Safety.
Same problems as worn shocks.
What the heck have we been driving? Man, now you've got me worried.
Don't be. It's all just part of your car's suspension, and a lot of the parts are connected down there. It all makes sense. Your car is like your body. It's made up of thousands of separate parts. If one thing goes, it could affect a bunch of others.
So I'm thinking the difference is when you go to the doctor, you can tell him what's wrong. But when we bring our car in here, it can't talk.
It was making a darn good try.
That's true. Now, this is just a hunch, mind you, but I'm beginning to suspect that a yearly inspection might just, be a good idea.
Remember, it's free.
Oh, free.
Dan.
Sorry. We check that, need at least another 3 years out of this baby.
We can help you do just that.
Shocks and struts. About as meaningful to most of us as the inner workings of your computer. Fortunately, Dan and Laura are learning more. They're being guided by a knowledgeable technician who has the training to answer all of their questions. Let's see what other clues they discover.
This is highly unusual, you know.
What is?
Us being back here in the shop, I'm used to standing behind a wall of glass and waiting for who knows what to happen, and then have someone come out and tell me that I owe them $1,500 for the pleasure of sitting in their waiting room for 5 hours.
This place is spotless.
We think that if we can bring you back here and educate you a bit on what it is that makes your car go, and what it takes to make it run safely, then you'll trust that we're doing the right things. It's all part of our QST philosophy. That stands for quality, service, and trust. It means we'll give you options. It's your car, and we want to do what you think is right and affordable. After all, it's not in my interest to give you a lot of things you don't need. I don't want you to wonder. I want you to know.
Trust. That's an unusual concept in auto repair.
I find trust to be an unusual concept in most places.
Trust isn't an issue for us. If I were you, I'd want to know.
What? And miss the pleasure of the blissful ignorance and pay through the nose approach you can enjoy somewhere else?
Call me crazy.
So, what's next?
Brakes are next.
Good. Stopping is key for me.
And being able to stop a little more smoothly would be good. I keep having to wash Dan's nose prints off the windshield.
Gotcha. Your car's heavy, and you don't want to take time to stop at 100 kilometers an hour. If your brakes aren't at peak efficiency, you have a larger margin of error.
I'm thinking no margin of error would be good.
Brakes create extreme heat, and they're exposed to all the worst things the road can throw at you, like salt, mud, snow, gravel.
Perhaps accidentally the occasional small animal.
What did you hit?
It was a dead skunk. I just made it deader.
Hey, do you know that song, Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road?
And it was singing to high heaven. Yeah. I think I feel a strut coming on.
Anyway, you gotta be ready all the time. Brakes stop your car, so you have to be good to them. There are two kinds of brakes, drums and discs. In most cars today, because of front-wheel drive, you'll find drums in the rear and discs in the front. See? Those are drums. These are discs.
However, more and more vehicles have four-wheel disc brakes.
Why two different kinds?
Disc brakes are in front because that's where most of the weight of your car is. So that's where about 80% of your braking happens. If you need to stop fast, disc brakes do it better. Did you also know that brakes can be cleaned and serviced?
I knew that.
You did not?
I did not.
Now you do. In fact, we'll inspect your brakes and clean them for a lot less than it costs to get new ones. And because of the abuse they take, your brakes will need replacing sooner or later.
Clean and service them every year or so, and it can increase their life substantially.
That's a lot.
It can make a significant difference.
Right then. I say we all have a thorough scrub down every 6 months, whether we need it or not.
Along with the dog?
I meant the car. Mind you, the dog could use one too. Car and dog it is.
Right. So, disc brakes, drum brakes, what's the difference?
Think of disc brakes like the brakes on a 10-speed bike. Two little rubber pads grip your bike wheel and stop the wheels turning. Same principle.
Different hardware, I hope.
Oh yeah. With disc brakes, there's a hydraulic line that moves a caliper, which is this little arm thing here. The caliper forces your brake pad, which is made of a friction-resistant material, down onto your brake rotor, or disc, which is attached to your wheel. And that stops the wheel from turning. And that friction-resistant material on your brake pads, it's supposed to wear off over time. And that's why you need to replace brake pads eventually. Even the brake fluid in the line is a key component of your brake system. It transfers the force from your foot on the brake pedal to the brakes in order to stop your vehicle. Preventative maintenance can restore the firm feel of a brake pedal that's gone spongy. It also helps prevent brake fade and prolongs the life of vital components.
This is a lot to take in.
All you really have to do is look and listen for the signs. If you hear something like this, it means the pads are seriously worn. At that point, your brakes are dangerous. You've got metal against metal, and that's not a good thing. That's where brake repairs get expensive. Then you could be into rotor repair, and